Everybody, welcome back to Forte Connect. This is our fourth episode, and we're joined today by Nimesh Patel. Nimesh, how's it going?
Hey, Steve. Nice to be
Nimesh,
here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for coming on. Nimesh is the Chief Technology and Product Officer at Cohesion, and today we're going to talk about maintaining product vision through challenging times. So we're joined by our regular guests from the Forte team, Kirsten Lang. Kirsten's a senior account executive here at Strategic Partnerships. Sorry, I stepped on your hello, Kirsten. Hi.
Hi, Steve. Nice to be here.
And of course, CJ Montano, our partner and managing director at Forte Group. Hey, CJ.
Hello.
So, Nimesh, I'll start with you. You've been a product leader at a number of organizations, but you recently made a career move shortly before the shelter-in-place started occurring, as I understand it. So can you tell us a little bit about your decision-making process in making that move, and then how's the new gig, and tell us about the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the past, I have worked in some larger organizations, and what I've realized is, you get that structured and disciplined thinking from those larger organizations, and over the years, I've always wanted to do something on my own, right? And there's two paths to it. You either have an idea, you pursue it, or you go pursue it with somebody else's idea, right? And you join a team. And what I was looking for is, I was looking for an interesting problem to solve. And as I started talking to the team at Cohesion and learned about how they're trying to build an autonomous intelligent building and work in that space, that problem was really interesting to me. And so hence I decided to join them. And what Cohesion tries to do is, we're in the space of we're in prop tech, so we're in the space of building intelligent buildings. And we bring in the people side of intelligence, of how people are navigating and using space. And we bring in the system side of intelligence, how systems are operating the buildings, and create the two data points together and create some very meaningful insights that drive ROI and value to the commercial real estate. And this is becoming more and more important in coming days, with people wanting to know things like occupancy level, air quality level, and different data points, and to understand how their portfolios are operating. So we've had a great uptick in interest, people reaching out to us. We've been able to close some significant deals, including one in APAC over the last few weeks. So it's been an interesting time.
Yeah, definitely interesting, but that's good to hear that you're liking the new job. We're talking about like strategic vision. So whether that's a decision you're making about your career or the life cycle of a product, how do you learn to trust your own judgment and believe in that you're making the right choice?
Yeah, I think generally I'm a very thin slice kind of guy. So over time you learn to either follow or not follow your gut, and you surround yourself with strong mentors and a group of friends. One being on this call, CJ. Thank you. You develop that network and you develop that trust, right? And there's no right or wrong. You're never going to be able to time it or know what the success path looks like, right? It's a matter of do you trust in the idea, do you trust in yourself, and do you trust the team that you're going to work with, right? If you trust in those aspects, then it's up to your personal conviction to be able to take that challenge on and do something that you believe in. So those are the sort of guiding principles I've used, and those are the guiding principles I use to choose to join Cohesion.
CJ, you're a decision maker yourself. Anything to add to that on how to trust your judgment and believe you're doing the right thing?
Sure. So I'll keep it centered around Nimesh here a little bit because, well, one, he's our guest, but two, I think he very much displays what it really means to have faith in yourself and leading with conviction. Nimesh and I talk about this all the time, so it's just making me laugh because I always ask Nimesh, I'm like, man, you have some courage just kind of going out there and always finding these interesting and creative new places to lend, your fingerprint to. And so he does reach out to me when he's talking about some of these decisions, and I'm always caught by how confident he is and how willing he is to jump into something new because he believes in it, and it's inspiring to me. So I know he mentioned that sometimes I help him on decision, but just by being a peer of Nimesh's, I'm always inspired by his conviction. And having observed and learned from him, one of the things he hasn't talked about here that I do think is important to his conviction is his data. Nimesh started as a very data-driven person in an organization that we shared common, but he reaches out to a lot of people, and he reaches out to a lot of different sources of data so that all of his decisions are based, in fact, on diverse thoughts, ideas, and data points that are helping him make those decisions. So yes, his conviction is amazing, but he has he makes sure there's always a lot of data behind his decisions. So I think that's important at any point in your career, in any business, and certainly during a time of a pandemic, is to look at the facts and make your decisions. And then once you've made your decision, have faith and conviction to move through it.
Lots of beers, lots of dinners,
lots of beers,
yeah.
Lots of dinners. In fact, this entire Forte Connect thing was a brainchild of Nimesh and I's many years ago. He said we should sit in a bar and just videotape people and have conversations. So it's fun to see him here with us because this is partly his idea as well.
Well, once we get out of this, we'll do one of these at a bar. How's that?
I love it.
Sign me up.
Yeah, and on that note, Nimesh, how we're adapting to, having these chats virtually. I'd like to hear more about how you've adapted to this new remote work environment, both on a professional level and a personal level.
Yeah, I'll speak to not just me, but my team as well, right? We're a startup, we're about 8 people, and this was definitely something that we were unfamiliar with and skeptical, and there was a lot of unknowns, right? How are we going to get through this? Productivity, startup, you all want to be in one space, you're pivoting, you're making decisions, and how is being remote going to work out? But adaptability is inherent to human nature, so we've all adapted, and I think positively, surprisingly, I've found this to be the remote working to be really productive, not only for me but for my team as well. Not only getting things done, but being able to collaborate through chats like this, getting hold of people. It's just been a positive experience, right? So I feel as companies start to think about what success looks like, and as they start, I think there's going to be a rethinking process, right? Like what is success and productivity? Definition of productivity is going to change, and they're going to think about hiring people differently. They're going to think about office spaces differently. They're going to think about metrics for success differently, right? So maybe that old school stigma of working from home or remote is going to go away, and people are more going to be like, oh yeah, this really worked for 6 months. Why don't we rethink the way we distribute our workforces across any geographical places, right? So I think it's a good thing that's going to come out of this, and I'm excited. My team and I have been very, very productive over this period, and continue to see where this evolves to.
Awesome, thanks. How about you, CJ? What are your thoughts on that? How do you see remote work changing in the future?
I mean, I would echo largely what Nimesh mentioned there. I think 2 things that I would add to it is, one, I think it gives an interesting perspective or interesting opportunity, like, working from Southern California, something you couldn't normally just kind of do. And I think businesses are recognizing and leaders are recognizing that it's a lot easier hurdle to just say, well, you're remote anyway. why do I care exactly where you're at? And they start to move towards outcomes versus time. And I think this is key. And I think it can be both a positive and a negative, because I'm not sure about you all, but productivity is relative, right? Somebody could be working 10 hours, 12-hour days while remote. And I noticed that my work habits have ticked up that way. But everything isn't always productive, meaning it doesn't have the outcomes that I desire. Some of it tends to be busy work. And so I forced myself, and I've challenged people in our organization to constantly look at that and ask the question always, is this valuable? Is this something I should be doing? Because with more space, time, and distance comes more process and red tape and things that you have to overcome. And so I think, to echo Nimesh's point there, how we think about productivity is interesting, and it is obvious that we're proving it's possible to work in a more remote fashion. I think what isn't so obvious, and what I think is going to start happening, is people are going to be saying, how do I be effective, and how do I work towards an actual outcome versus just being busy? So those are the things I'm seeing, but it's been interesting, and certainly work-life balance has become a lot better. Being interrupted by your children or your whatever, throughout the day adds a smile to your face and a little bit new dynamic, which I appreciate.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it also just changes the expectation of when you work, and it gives people more flexibility to do those things, like go out on a walk in the middle of the day, knowing that maybe you'll make up those hours or those outcomes at another time. And that's interesting in terms of what it means for office life in general.
Yeah.
Nimesh, I'll bring it back to you. Part of decision making and vision is the ability to accept that you might fail or taking on a certain amount of risk. How do you think the current situation is maybe changing how businesses are tolerant to failure or mistakes being made in a software environment?
Yeah, I'm probably the wrong person to ask about risk, because I'm a big risk taker, so don't fit a lot of people's profile. But keeping risk aside, to me, this is more of a preparedness question, right? How are companies going to be prepared so that they can assess risk in a different way, right? If you think about a startup or a growth stage company, the tolerance for risk is always higher, and it's not because it's a group of people. It's because that is part of it, but it's more because that's the stage of the company, right? The company needs to pivot, it needs to make decisions, it needs to find its place and find the value it's delivering, right? So inherently, that's built into those sort of companies. What we find is larger corporations, the risk profile is lower. They have consistency, they have a certain brand, they have a certain communication that they have to maintain in the outside world, right? What this has forced those big companies to also be better prepared. Nobody saw this coming, and they've had to make changes, they've had to pivot, and they've had to pivot. Larger organizations have had to pivot, right? So what I see is larger organizations are going to be better prepared in taking these risks. And by nature of that, they're going to take a lot more risk and be a lot more imaginative and a lot more creative. And it's going to drive to better solutions overall, right? Doesn't matter the industry. So risk is going to be looked at differently, but it's going to be looked at differently from a preparedness standpoint and decision-making standpoint, in my view.
CJ, I'll throw the same question to you. Do you think organizations right now are becoming more risk averse or less? And how does this whole situation affect product vision?
Yeah, first of all, I agree with Nimesh. He's a risk taker. So it makes us such great friends. I think more importantly, what I agree with Nimesh about is, and I think this has to do with our shared background, is businesses, especially successful businesses, don't see risk. They see opportunity. anything for, so right now you take a business like ours or what Nimesh is doing, and what I see is people taking advantage of a down market, right? Oh, well, there's this happening. People are staying home. That means there's going to be more e-commerce going on. That means there's going to be more remote working and opportunities for different types of creative software. And that's just the software business. Business people are crafty. I think they're always looking for the deal. And what most businesses do, and most people who are built sort of capitalistically speaking, is they're looking at this as an opportunity. So make a better product, make a more relevant product, innovate, tune, accelerate. All of those things become super important as you go through something that is uncontrollable. So risk-averse, I don't know. I think that, yes, companies are definitely focusing on mission-critical things and non-discretionary work right now because that's their lifeline in terms of their revenue. But the best businesses are seeing this as an opportunity and a way to make a better, more relevant product so that they emerge from this even stronger. So yes, product innovation, design, and what your company is right now is not what it might be in 3 or 4 months. And so I think a big focus on where that product's going to be is important to be thinking about right now.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that. So completely agree with CJ in terms of how you think about product design, and that needs to iterate, and what it looks like is going to change, will need to change. I would also add that stay true to the vision and the strategy of the company, because this is not the time to start pivoting who you are or who you want to be. Think about how you're going to deliver the value differently, because people are going to consume information differently and want information differently. But in terms of the path you've started and your vision and mission, continue to stay on that, because that you don't need that distraction right now.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I think Nimesh, you kind of touched upon it, trusting your vision, things like that. Are there any other pieces of advice that you would give to product leaders at this point in time?
I've always whether it's decision making or making, whether it's technical or product or design, I've always thought about if there's a certain way of doing it, can we think about a different way, right? Is there a different way? And convince yourself if there's no alternate way of thinking about the same problem. Then go back to the true and trusted and disciplined and the structured approach, right? So I would say everybody's learning to operate in a new environment. Everybody's going to consume things differently. Everybody's going to need things differently. So, and all of that is not defined, right? There's a period of definition that's going to follow, and there's an opportunity here to define that, right? Through product and product design and delivering and getting that feedback from the market, right? So use this period that's coming up to completely test the wildest of your ideas, because we didn't think the entire world was going to work remotely and be effective and everything was going to work, right? And it is, right? So let's think about what's next. And so it's a good time to be really edgy and really risky and trying out things that you've not had a platform to try in the past.
Nimesh, we spoke earlier in the week, and you were telling me that Cohesion's in a growth stage. You're looking to build a team. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of roles you're looking for, and maybe tell us if someone's interested where they should go to learn more about that?
Yeah, we're in a very active growth stage, and like I said, we've had some great success in the last few weeks, even while the pandemic is going on, in terms of signing on new clients in the US and Asia. And as we build our platform, everything from we're a big data play company, so we do get data from a lot of different sources, whether it's systems we integrate with, or our own product, experience related product that people use, and we collect that data. and we want to create insights out of that, right? So data science is a big focus for us. Technologies like Scala and Akka are big focus for us. Front end, making products that makes somebody to drive and do an action. It's important, right, from an UX standpoint. So that's a big. So all across the board, we're going to grow. So if you're interested, look at our website, cohesionib.com. Reach out. Happy to have a conversation. Tell you more about where we're going, our vision, and happy to talk to anybody.
Great. So we usually try to end on sort of a fun note. We've learned about some awful snacks that we're eating. We've learned about some of the weird habits that we're picking up. So I thought I'd ask you all this week. It seems like people are consuming more streaming media. So what's everybody watching right now? Nimesh, we can start with you.
Oh man. What are we watching? Watching multiple shows, but got into this one show because, you open up Netflix and it said #1 trending in the US, right? And I ended up, and it said American, what is it called? American football or something like that, right? So it was big sports fan, football, yes, let's watch it. And it's ended up becoming a high school drama show. But now you're so invested in it, right? You're so deep in it that you want to see it through, right? So it's a good brainless TV at the end of the night to take the mind off and just relax. So that's what I'm watching.
Kirsten, how about you?
Yeah, you know what? With everything, we've been trying to keep it light lately. So we've been going to the stand-up section and just getting some laughs. Little Jim Gaffigan before you go to sleep. It puts you in a little lighthearted mood. So
that's a good idea. I should.
So no pandemic shows, nothing. Yeah, you want to stay away from that. Yeah.
CJ, what about you?
I'm keying on what Nimesh said because I know the show he's talking about. It's All American. And,
you watched it.
And the reason I know it is because I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she made me start to watch it, and I've just been making fun of her. And I'm like, this is Friday Night Lights. I'm like, it's just a worse version of it. But we were really hooked on Ozark because, number one, we used to vacation down the Ozarks every year. And, oh, my God, if you haven't seen Ozark, it's ridiculous show, but it's awesome. And my oldest daughter forces us all to watch Stranger Things. So another thing, if you've ever seen, a very odd show. But so mostly what's on in our house is what my 12-year-old daughter is streaming for us. And there's some odd streaming videos going on in our house. But like Nimesh said, you start to get into them. You're like, I can't believe I like this stupid high school football show.
They make them that way so that you're hooked.
How about you, Steve?
Well, I'm sort of a cliche, I guess, in that I've been loving The Last Dance, the Bulls Michael Jordan documentary. It seems like ESPN is like now the Jordan network because everything they talk about is about that show. It's been really entertaining, and it's kind of a nice, relief or release from the current situation. I also have been watching Ozark, and then the other plug I'll give for a good sports documentary is Formula One Drive to Survive is on Netflix, and I'm a big F1 fan, so I've been liking those.
Yeah, I watched 2 seasons of that. Great show.
Yeah, fellow race fan, huh?
Yeah,
that's good. Not many people in the U.S. are huge fans of F1, but I'm a fan of it.
That's my Indian roots following me.
Gotcha. All right, well, Nimesh, thanks for joining us today. That was a lot of fun. CJ and Kirsten, thanks to you also. Again, our topic was maintaining product vision through challenging times, and I appreciate all the insights that each of you have given. I just wanted to say that we're open to topic suggestions. This is our 4th episode. We plan to keep doing this. So if you have anything you'd like us to cover or questions you'd like us to answer, you can comment in wherever this is being posted, or you can get in touch with me at news, N-E-W-S, at fortegroup.com. That's FORTEGRP.com. And if you found this video helpful, that you liked it was valuable, consider liking it, subscribing. And of course, you can find the other 3 videos that we've done on our website, fortegroup.com. fortegrp.com. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Steve, can I ask a last question?
Yeah.
Are you getting somebody giving you a haircut?
I am giving myself a haircut. So I'm not very good at it, but I have an old like barber clipper thing that I watched a YouTube video and kind of figured out, like, you basically just go up and out a little bit. If you saw this in person, it's not very good, but it's
Yeah, something for us to work on.
Yeah, I noticed he didn't. I noticed he didn't ask me that question.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Take care.
Nimesh.
Bye.